Oh, wow, that worked. My name is Ekho. That's me, right there. This morning, I will be doing a poem for you. Something that you should know is that I name all of my pieces after food, and they have nothing to do with food. This poem is called Mac and Cheese. It is my brother's favorite poem because it is about him and being a black man in America and overcoming what that means. I will jump into it and then I'll give you guys cool stuff after. My brother says that he doesn't want to be a statistic. He says that too many lines are drawn between a black man and his future, says too many of those lines become ceilings, and too many ceilings, well, they're based on feelings of where he comes from and whether or not his father returned home. He says that it doesn't matter how many times that his mother had to go to the payphone. For the 25 cents that she was investing on anger phone calls served more as sacrificial prayer that her son would live a life longer than quarter. Said his life is not determined based on the amount of time spent waiting at Burger King for a man that never had the courage to serve a kid his meal. That the boys on his block dressed in oversized blue garments gripping steel taught him never to kneel before a man just because they're camouflaged in the same color. Which made the hue graced on his skin serve more as historical lesson than homage for a man that could barely stand his ground. And so, a single-parent household, a project complex, his public school attendance made my brother one sports scholarship away from becoming the very thing that he fears most, becoming a host of restriction, rejection, readjustment, an open and shut case for judiciaries, jurors, and judgment, a silver platter served appetizer for any residential black grounds. I mean, background check. And the thing is, most days I don't even think about it. For his father is buried far below surface apologies, good intentions, second chances, but every now and then I look at my brother with a second glance as if I'm somehow subconsciously proud of him being alive post-25, and wow, isn't that messed up? That a black American citizen born post-slavery is still conditioned to celebrate survival, like we never saw it coming, like your history defines you, like a deadbeat father means you'll end up facing charges or facing bullets, like strong mother and college education still means you'll end up facing charges or facing bullets, like charges are what you receive. They're what happens when the bullets don't work, as if the bullets never not work, as if you still have hope, as if you're still that little boy in the Burger King parking lot waiting on your dad to show up, waiting on someone you can count on, waiting on the first man to discipline you by hand, to not be in blue uniform, to not make you wear bracelets linked too close for comfort, to not find role models in the men that hover the corner of your block waiting on the reason you call your street your block to stop being that is blocked off by crooked cops. Bro, I see you. Sometimes greater than any obstacle, for your trial and error never took place in courtroom. Only in trying to figure out how to love a woman or questioning how you will raise your future children, but promising to raise them in the ways that mothers do, you know, consistently. Still promising to teach your son the purpose of his black excellence and your little girl, that her black girl magic is not what causes men to disappear, that love is free, but so are lies, so when that love feels magical, look for Houdini in his eyes, because all it takes is 9 months for fear to land a father on where are they now, and because there's nothing more fragile than a disappointed child, and because the only thing harder than being a man is being a man who wasn't taught how. Blacklisted. Thank you. So I do have with me some chapbooks. I will be in the back after all of this. They are $15 if you'd like the chapbook, $20 if you'd like the chapbook, plus access to a track on a visual album that I'm creating in 2026. That track will be private. It will have a private link. It is of a poem that is everyone's favorite, but I never perform anymore, called Cornbread. So thank you for having me. It has been a creative morning.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ekho, for opening our event today and sharing your incredible talent with us. My 19-year-old poet daughter is very sad she couldn't be here and witness it. Can we give her another round of applause? Good Creative Mornings, everyone. My name is Tina Roth-Eisenberg. I'm the founder of Creative Mornings and your New York City chapter host. And I'm welcoming you today from the ancestral land of the Lenape people. And we here at Creative Mornings recognize the significance of Brooklyn and New York City for Lenape people past and present. And normally I would say a warm welcome to Autumn Thomas, who is our ASL interpreter and said she would be here today. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well today, so in case she's watching the live stream, Autumn, we miss you and we so appreciate when you help us with ASL interpretation. It's such a joy to be back here at CUNY Graduate Center. I'm curious, who is here for the very first time? Oh, there's music on the slide, I didn't realize. Wait, who is here for the first time? How many of you? Oh, quite a few of you, that's awesome. So in case you're not familiar with CUNY, the Graduate Center, it's one of New York City's most vibrant spaces for public graduate education, lifelong learning, and curiosity. And CUNY hosts lectures, conversations, performances, and events that invite us all to think differently and discover something new. And I urge you to look up their website, and their spring public programming lineup will be released very shortly. So go check out their website and see what they have coming up. Anke, Marielle, and the entire team at CUNY Graduate Center, we love being here. Thank you for so generously hosting us. Okay, so the night before we have an event, when I should be focusing on getting these slides ready, I tend to spend way too much time looking at all of you beautiful people. What do you mean, Tina? Well, did you know that when you sign up for an event, you can actually see who's attending? There's a who's attending button. And then you see all of these beautiful faces, and you can click through the profiles, which I do way too much. For example, Jillian's photo made me giggle. And so I clicked on it. And looking at her profile, I learned that she's a stills and motion photographer. And according to her profile, she needs help curing the fear of city bikes. Jillian, my son, he's 15, he can teach you not be afraid of them. He basically lives on city bikes at this point. And fun fact, for those of you that don't know, Jillian is one of our OG club hosts. She runs the Sun Your Buns Picnic Club. Has anyone here been to the Sun Your Buns Picnic Club? A few of you. Jillian, what are we gonna do? It's winter. Where are you? Are you gonna take it inside? Warm your buns. The club is not dead. Jillian, I believe in you. And then also I clicked on Corey Carl. She's from Toronto and has been to 48 events. And in her skills tags, there's lots of skill tags. She lists herding cats. Corey, are you here? What do you mean? Oh, okay. She says she does a lot of pet sitting. I just really stood out to me, and I love it. Thank you, Corey. And then I clicked on Andrew because, I mean, come on. That is so good. But Andrew, if you're here, you're not giving us much more to work with other than your awesome photo. And then I don't even want to talk about Scott because he's a bagel. Scott, don't be a bagel. No, I'm serious. This is something that really tortures me because imagine, Scott, what if you just had a really great conversation over breakfast and that person wants to find you afterwards and ask you out or hire you or become your best friend, and it's just there's no hope. Okay, so the night before an event, when I look at these profiles, I usually go a step further. I take it a little nerdier, and I go on our back end where I can filter by, for example, in this case, signups. I can also filter by chapters and stuff. And I just want to announce that the New York City chapter champions of today's event are Exa and Gretchen with over 350 signups. Congratulations. You are legends. But then I scrolled to the very bottom, and one of the people on there was Sarah from Minneapolis. She has been to, she's visiting from Minneapolis, and she dipped her toes into the CreativeMornings universe by attending one of our virtual field trips in April titled the Digital Declutter Party, which I unfortunately missed, but it sounds so good. By raise of hands, do we have any field trip goers here? A few of you, yay! So for those of you that don't know, field trips is our answer to boring webinars out there. It's our peer-to-peer learning university. We host between 20 and 30 field trips a month for free. And we will link to it in the upcoming, in the email that you get after the event, so you can check them out. And, but back to Sarah. Oh, wait, here's the field trip slide. Wait. Back to Sarah. I love when people travel and look up Creative Mornings events where they're going and attend. So has anyone here from the Creative Mornings community ever traveled to another chapter and attended? Where did you go? Oh, okay. All right, and we're done. So in an effort to make Sarah feel very welcome here at today's event, I emailed her and asked her, do you want to read our manifesto? Because it reminds us why we do what we do here. And she said yes. So Sarah, the stage is all yours.
Hi. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, learning from others, in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
No pressure, Sarah, but I emailed the host of the Minneapolis chapter and said, maybe you should come to yours now too. So we might be checking your profile. No pressure. All right, who of you was brave enough to put your name into the 30-second pitch wheel? A few of you, great. Ekho, tell us who will get the mic.
Hello all. 30-second pitches are 30 seconds only. I will chase you off the stage with the xylophone. We have Heather O'Donovan, Kathy Sandler, Hope Merlis, and Christian Ariola. That is our people. Good luck. You'll come after the talk. Meet me down here on the stage, and we'll go up. Thanks.
I don't know about you, but it takes a lot for me these days not to despair, and I am an irrationally optimistic person. But this week, we got the most unexpected and delightful news from our Portsmouth chapter, who turned 10 this month. In an incredible turn of events, the mayor of Portsmouth decided to recognize Creative Mornings, this chapter, and gave it its own holiday. The mayor of Portsmouth declared November 17th, I was just, what? As the official Creative Mornings Portsmouth holiday. In the proclamation, they got an official proclamation. He says, now therefore, I, Declan McEachern, mayor of the city of Portsmouth, do hereby proclaim November 17th in Portsmouth as Creative Mornings PKX Day in celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Creative Mornings PKX chapter and in recognition of its enduring commitment to creativity, community, and the power of connection. He continues, wait, we're not done. May this milestone serve as a reminder of what is possible when people come together with open minds, generous hearts, and a shared belief in the beauty of ideas. Hugs and high fives to you all, and let us continue to gather, listen, create, and grow together. Isn't that just the most wholesome thing? I admit this was not on my 2025 bingo card. So Portsmouth, I love you. And if you're a first-timer here, are there any first-timers ever? First time ever Creative Mornings, a few of you, welcome. You might be wondering, what is she talking about, Portsmouth chapter? For those of you that are new, you might not realize, but each one of these dots here is a Creative Mornings chapter around the world. We did start in New York, but these are all chapters that are also happening every month. And they're all run by incredibly generous and wonderful, heart-centered volunteers and organizers. Because of them, over 20,000 people get together every month in over 70 countries for free. And you're wondering, what? How is it free? I know, I do too. No, I'm not. Because Creative Mornings is an engine of generosity. We're community-led because of our volunteers who are in service of their communities and who donate their time and skills to put on these events. Because of our venue partners who donate the space, because of speakers and musicians and poets who generously share their gifts, and last but not least, because of companies and individuals that support us financially on a global and local level to cover the costs that occur by running an organization like ours. Take, for example, Adobe. They support us on a global level. As a global partner, they are fully embedded into our universe and recognize that every event every month around the world, for example, here in Lisbon, or Bengaluru, or Chicago, or Paris, San Francisco, Santa Fe, Tegucigalpa, and, for example, Hong Kong here. Thank you, Adobe. We so appreciate your support. Also supporting us at a global level is the absolutely remarkable Ruth Ann Harnish, who has changed the trajectory of Creative Mornings in 2024 when she became our first ever patron. Her showering us with radical generosity made it possible for me and my team to launch Clubs last year, our latest experiment in human connection and this friendship engine. And if you haven't checked out Clubs yet, or don't know what they are small, hyper-local meetups run by you, happening every day of the week, from dumpling making to comedy to reading clubs, movie clubs to writing, photo walks, picnic clubs. Jillian, there's something for everyone. Go find yourself a club, or if there's something you love doing and you want to create community around it while you do it, start a club. And thank you, Ruth Ann, for believing in us and for helping fuel friendships all over the world. We love you. Are you glad we welcome you with coffee when you arrive here early in the morning? I am. That's possible. Breakfast and coffee is possible because of the generous support of our local partners. Let me send some gratitude their way. Harvest is just like us, a New York City-based company, and I appreciate that they make me think about time. As a lover of quotes, whenever I come across a quote that is related to time, I write it down so I can share it here. So for example, this one, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it," by Henry David Thoreau. So if you think about time in your day-to-day, if you need a simple and beautiful way to track it or manage your time, expenses, and invoices, check out getharvest.com. It's an excellent tool for independent creatives and small businesses. Thank you, Harvest. And then a big thank you to our beloved MPB partner. They make it so easy and worth it to give your unused camera gear a new life. If you have an unused camera or lens sitting in your drawer, set them free on MPB. It's really easy. And whenever I prepare these slides, I end up going down on a deep rabbit hole of what's new on their site. And what astounds me every time is how many new items they added to their site every week. And you're wondering, why do you know that, Tina? Well, fun fact, look. They added 5,746 new gear last week. That is just so damn impressive. So we here at HQ love MPB and the humans behind it. It's good people with big hearts, so thank you, MPB. And now to the main portion of our events. Our theme in November is growth, and all of our chapters are picking a speaker around it. It was chosen by our Sacramento chapter in California and illustrated by Amber Rankin and is presented by our global partner, Adobe. It is my absolute joy to introduce today's speaker, someone whose work manages to feel both wildly inventive and beautifully simple, and often at the same time. Pablo Delcan is a designer and creative director whose practice spans illustration, animation, typography, and the kind of visual storytelling that makes you stop in your tracks and feel something. You've seen his work in places like the New York Times, the New Yorker, and countless cultural spaces, always with that unmistakable blend of playfulness and clarity. Pablo approaches design with curiosity, generosity, and a willingness to experiment that reminds us what creative bravery looks like. Please join me in giving a rockstar round of applause to welcome Pablo Delcan.
Hello. Thanks, Tina, for the invitation, and thanks to all of you for being here this Friday morning. So my name is Pablo Delcan. I'm a graphic designer. I'm originally from Spain. I grew up in an island in the Balearic Islands, a small island called Menorca. And I come from a family of artists. I grew up in a house that doubled as my grandmother's ceramic studio and my mom's art space. So I was just always surrounded by material, tools, scraps. Creativity almost felt mundane and boring in my childhood. When I was 18, I moved to New York to study graphic design. And when I came here, I studied SVA, and it really changed from me thinking that I was good at design to me loving this industry that I ended up falling into. My first job out of school was designing book covers. I had never really been an avid reader. I actually always struggled reading. And it was kind of funny that I ended up having this job. I did it for like a year and a half, and I had to like read all the time. I would get the books in this form. You would get these like piles of pages, and you would just sift through them. And I learned what I've been saying is I learned to read as a graphic designer. Like all the ideas were in the text. And yeah, there was something about that just carried through my entire career. My job consists of transforming a text into an image, that be a book cover, an article, a magazine cover. The process for me always begins with this text. And as I'm reading, I'm designing in my head, and on the margins of this paper that I showed you before, my computer, sketching and playing with typography and images to find as many different solutions as I can. It's a process of matching the voice and tone of the author and looking for unique ways to visualize it. These are a few different sketches for a beautiful book written by Carlos Fonseca, A Natural History. And it's quite an experimental novel. It's a story of a relationship between a fashion designer and a curator that devolves into this like mystery crime novel. Yeah, quite fascinating. So this was kind of the process of, as I'm reading, I'm putting these things together and sending these to the art director and author. And in the end, this is the one that ended up in bookstores. So after a year and a half doing book covers, I decided to start my own design studio. And for the first few years, what we mainly produced was animation work. And it was quite tedious animation work. It was a lot of like hand-drawn cell animation. And I'm going to show you just a couple of things that we did during those first few years. I worked a lot with an illustrator that I love, Brian Ray. And we worked on, from music videos to commercials to animated poetry. This next slide I'm going to show is some animations that we did for a promotion for a book. It's a book called What We See When We Read. And we wanted to encapsulate this feeling of what happens when you're reading a book. So after a few years of doing a lot of animation work, I decided to, or not really decided, I kind of naturally progressed into running my studio as a designer who did a lot of illustration work, which in my particular case was for mainly the op-ed section of the New York Times, which mainly focused on, if you've ever bought the New York Times newspaper, I don't know if they still do it anymore. I think it's changed, but it used to be when I started doing this, like the back page of the New York Times was always the opinion section. And the way that it worked is that they would call me in the mornings or send me an email, and within 3 hours I had to send sketches out, and by the end of the day I sent the final illustration and they would print it in the newspaper. And it was fun going the next day to the bodega and buying my copy of the New York Times and actually seeing my work there. So my practice went from like these very long, tedious projects of doing animation work to this work that was like much more fast-paced. And eventually this op-ed work that I was doing for the New York Times progressed into getting more and more work with the New York Times Magazine. And over the past 8 years, I've worked on quite a few covers for them. And I particularly love working with the team at this magazine, and specifically on their covers. I think they have a similar way of working that fits really well with how I work. I'm going to show you 2 of the covers that I did over the past few years. This is a brief I got for their annual design issue, which was about the obsession that we currently have for redesigning everything. And this was the brief that I received from Gail Bickler, who's the design director of the magazine. And I had quite some trouble figuring an idea for this. This idea of like, can you take an existing object in some way to give, what is it, like taking an existing object and altering it or mixing it with something else to give it a different use or look. And the part that really made me, I don't know, have a hard time with this was this ask at the end of the brief is if it could be humorous in some way. Being funny is quite complicated. So this was the first idea that I started sketching, and it didn't, kind of felt quite vanilla. So then I was like, we take a chair, and like, what if we pull the parts of the chair? Ultimately, I was like, what if you take an object, you take what makes it essential out and combine it with something else? But it also didn't feel all that exciting. So I tried to like take the brief and put it upside down. Like, what if it's less about taking an object and changing it to give it a different use, but if you take an object and change it in order to remove the use that it currently has? So I came up with this idea. Like, what if, and maybe that's what makes it humorous, is that it's kind of, this obsession with redesigning everything to the point that it becomes useless. And I sent this to Gail, and she really liked the idea. I was like, okay, we can probably render this in 3D pretty easily. But she was adamant that it would be much cooler if we actually fabricated it. So I reached out to a studio in Brooklyn called Pink Sparrow. And within a few days, they were creating a square wheel with all its details. A few days later, we were at Henry Lutweiler's studio, and he photographed the wheel for this cover. The next cover I'm going to show is for the climate issue of the New York Times Magazine as well, on the economics of climate change. And the headline for this cover was "Putting a Price on the End of the World." So I went into this process of iterating, thinking about money. And when making these images, I'm always thinking about creating something that speaks directly to the writing, but also that is enticing in order to bring the viewer into the article. It's similar to when I'm designing book covers, telling people little about what it is about, but also a way of inviting them closer to the text. So I do a lot of work on the computer, but I actually quite enjoy doing or finishing the work by hand. Working on the computer just like really allows me to work very fast, but I always feel like it lacks a little bit of the emotional element that kind of infuses work with our voice. So after I had that sketch approved, I just went to my studio and started. I got a sticker gun, which was really fun. And then I started just planning and getting this thing built piece by piece in layers, and then I photographed it and did some edits, moved some stickers around, photoshopped some prices on and off. And then ultimately, this was the cover that we ended up with. So this is like we're delving into the second part of the presentation now, which is the crisis part. 2023 was a strange year. This was the year when OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 came out. It was also the year of the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer. It was the year where the war in Gaza began and the war in Ukraine continued. It was the official beginning of the end of the COVID pandemic. Personally, there was a lot going on in my life that I ultimately broke down. And I understood for the first time what it truly feels like to lose control of your own mind. I simply wasn't able to work for around like 3 or so months. I was absolutely overwhelmed, but I always know that something interesting or beautiful comes out of difficult moments. AI was seeping into the mainstream. It went from something that was happening on the sidelines to something that was inserting itself into all aspects of our life. And I was deeply interested in what this would mean for me and my work. I think my fascination with AI, created images in particular, was the process felt eerily similar to the one that I had been developing and inhabiting for my entire career. This idea of taking a text, processing it through an LLM, and getting an image as the output. It felt like it mirrored me so perfectly, but so much cheaper, faster, and much more efficient than I could ever be. So at the end of 2023, I got a commission from the Washington Post, and they asked me if I could create 10 editorial illustrations that represented the year. And once the sketches were approved and I delivered the final ones, the art director had this notion, which made sense because it was very heavily influenced, the articles, by artificial intelligence. And they asked if I could make my work and these final illustrations look more like if they were generated with AI. And that moment really stuck with me because it forced me to ask myself this question: what makes my work different than the one that is made by a machine right now? And this was one of the images that I made. It kind of really symbolizes how I was feeling, just my laptop now, fully intelligent and autonomous, coming to get me. So in preparation for this talk, I decided to hire a former student of mine to help me understand this question of what makes my work so different than the one by AI. And I asked her to spend a few weeks taking 10 years worth of my design work and of collaborations, fabricating things, photographing, building, drawing, sketching, compressed into just a few weeks of this person. And I put a little video together. It's just 2 minutes long. And I've titled this video, Me versus AI. So at the rate in which AI is evolving, and it's evolving very fast, it won't be very long until the kind of work I've been creating over a decade becomes easily replicable. And I have no real problem with this reality and this technology. I think it's just very impressive and very empowering. But I knew that I didn't want to make or keep making work that could be mistaken for the work created by a machine, or a process of working that is so immediate and even lazy. So the first thing I did was slow down. And I walked into my studio in a cold November morning. I started a fire in my wood-burning stove, and this really funny idea came to mind. What if I create my very own generative art model? The way AI works with prompts that generate images, but I would be stepping into the role of the AI. So I created this project I titled Prompt Brush 1.0. And I honestly thought it'd just be like a funny gag that my friends and colleagues would laugh at for a couple days, and then I'd move on from it. I put this message out on social media, and the prompts started to roll in. At the beginning from people that I knew, and slowly from more and more people that I had never met before. And I set up these rules early on without thinking too much about it. So the prompt had to come from someone else. I couldn't write my own prompts. Only one drawing, no revisions. Draw as fast as I can, and black ink on paper, using the same exact brush for the entire project, which actually broke a few times and I had to repair it. There's a little video that my brother and I made to explain the project. So eventually, it became harder to keep track of the hundreds and eventually thousands of prompts that I was receiving. So I put together a website where people could submit their prompts, and that way I could keep them more organized than in my Instagram DMs. The website also had this endless scroll with all the drawings I was making. Eventually, I drew around 1,700 prompts. The photograph above is a stack of just 500 of those drawings. The problem is that I only drew 1,700 prompts out of the more than 8,000 prompts that I had in my inbox and that I continue to receive every day. The project really came from a complicated moment in my life when maybe I was really craving a true kind of connection between my work and other people. And where tech companies and software engineers are focused with removing friction from their work and processes And as AI is focused with being unbiased in its program to give us, or to give you the right answer in the most generic form, I think that empathy and friction and our own sense of humor and our own sense of individuality is what now, in the age of AI, we have to offer. In April, I turned this project into a subway poster for SVA. If you've been in the subway, maybe you've seen this weird chicken hanging out on the walls. I guess the funny but not funny ending to the poster was that a few months ago, the New Yorker called me because they were writing this article about someone who was drawing onto the poster and got arrested and was sent to jail for 14 hours, which, yeah, the power of design. A few weeks ago, this project became a book, and it features around 230 drawings. It's titled Prompt Brush 1.0, like the project. And the book actually ends with a really deep and meaningful conversation that I had with an AI chatbot that I created called Ekho, who I fed the entire project in the introduction. And we actually had like a really interesting conversation about our existence as humans in this new age and the power of creativity and the value of human-created work. This is what the book looks like. These are a few spreads of the book. So this project was my first step in trying to answer this question. How can I create uniquely human work? How can I infuse what I make with human spirit? How can my work be more honest, more raw, more opinionated? And to end this presentation, I invite all of you to ask yourselves the same question. Thank you.
Wow, Pablo. That was incredible. Pablo, I saw that video and I saw your prompt, the brush project, and I was like, oh my God, he has to speak at Creative Mornings. I'm so glad I followed my intuition. That was absolutely wonderful and deep, and I will order that book. Does anyone have a question for Pablo? There we go. Hold on. Can you stand up and say your name?
Hopefully an easy one. My name's Daniel. What was your favorite prompt?
My favorite prompt was forgiveness. And I think in general, like my favorite prompts tended to be the ones that were very broad and non-specific. Like I got tons of prompts about people asking me to draw their cats and dogs with very specific details of what they looked like. But there was something about like forgiveness or regret or happiness, like just very elusive words that are hard to visualize. And for forgiveness, I think the drawing that I ended up doing for it was this boot stepping on someone who's barefoot. And it's just because like I had accidentally stepped on my daughter's foot that morning. And there was just something about that, and this project in general, that really connected me with my own life in a more profound way. Like I started noticing things more closely and trying to like like, I guess without knowing so, like bringing them into the work. So that particular one kind of stands out to me.
I'm going to ask
Thanks
a
for the
question.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on a journey figuring out your relationship to AI. I have to say, the video that you played for us, I have so many conflicting feelings watching that.
Same.
Can you put into words kind of like when you watch it, where are you at in the feeling sentiment space right now, like with what is unfolding right now? Because I think I'm a former designer as well. You like, where are you at, if you could say?
I think where I'm at is that I don't want to be creating work that looks like it could have been easily recreated by AI. It kind of like has changed. Like the work that I've created over the past 10 years lives in its own moment. And now I feel like I can't continue creating that same work with this new understanding of where we are. I'm incredibly excited by AI. Like, I think it's an incredible and very empowering tool for designers. It's also a very scary tool for designers because big companies are looking into ways of utilizing, AI more and more and more, which makes our process naturally will have to be faster than it already is, and it's already quite fast compared to the way that it's been in the past. And it's only going to accelerate that more. It also means that teams are going to be smaller than they've been in the past because now AI is, the great efficiency tool. So I think there's this double-edged sword of incredibly powerful and exciting tool that kind of gives us all access to, expertise that we didn't have before. We're all coders now. We're all animators now. It's really, I think, what makes us valuable is what I was saying before, like our own particular taste and our own particular vision of the world and our own lives, but also ideas, I think, is the one thing that we have going for still.
Can I just acknowledge that I find it incredibly inspiring how you are walking this fine line of staying curious and open with something that you could be so angry and against and just push against. And I think that's really something I want to take away from today is I really find it inspiring how you're acknowledging how scary it is, but yet you are open and you want to learn and you want to see how you can dance with it in a way where you grow too. And I think that is really worth a round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Lenny. Wanted to ask about when you named this Prompt Brush 1.0, were you thinking there is another iteration of it, or are you more so sitting in the 1.0-ness of this moment or like this project, and are you thinking about 2.0 of whatever your life looks like with this project or this or your life?
Yeah, so the idea for Prompt Brush 1.0, like the weird thing about this whole project, it almost felt like this weird gift that I was receiving in an instant, because the whole idea came just like fully baked. Like the name I didn't think about names for like 10 minutes. They just like the name Prompt Brush is like Prompt Brush, that's what I'm doing. 1.0 just to make it sound techie, it was like ChatGPT 4.0, Prompt Brush 1.0. It just made sense, and I didn't overthink it too much. Your question about 2.0, I was actually going to make the presentation more about Prompt Brush and talk about the 2.0, which is almost ready to be deployed in the next few days. And I don't have much else to say just yet, but you guys should stay tuned. I think it's gonna be fun, and I think it's like a nice kind of continuation a little bit. And it's funny enough, like the 2.0 has been heavily helped by AI, and I've created entire new website app that is all thanks to being able to code now with AI. So yeah, stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Whitney. I just kind of want to pick up from where Tina said. I just find your work so heart-centered and human. And just your style, your approach, the history of your work that you shared with us. Obviously, we've seen so many of these pieces and didn't know it was you, or some people might have. But every one that you showed on the AI model just had all of the humanness kind of wiped from it, in my opinion. It's just how I see it. It's just, it seems cold, it seems sterile, it seems perfected. And I don't know, you've shared something about how you're not going to go forward in the same way, but I just hope you don't lose your imperfect hand structure, all of your burnout, like you discussed, your humanity, all the lessons and experiences that you had is in your art, and it's so clear. And I just hope that that stays in it, because I just don't ever think a machine or a computer will ever replicate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your curiosity and hope for it. I just don't have that
I
same.
agree with you. I think there is something about AI images that, we were talking about, like infusing your work with yourself or with spirit. I think AI imagery just does not have spirit. The thing is that at some point it might be really hard to tell, or we might have so much control over this work that you'll be able to infuse it with spirit in some way. And when that happens, then, it's easy for us now to criticize AI work because it's not very good. But as soon as it's good, it's going to be really hard to make a case for it not being as good as ours. It's also like at the beginning of this year, nobody had access to create videos with AI, and in just 1 year, we've gone from like really kind of bad videos of Will Smith eating pasta to like amazing videos of Will Smith eating pasta with sound effects and all. So like in 3-4 years, this technology is not slowing down. And I don't know, I think we can't be creating our work in a vacuum. Like we're in a moment in time, and I think it's more interesting, at least for me, I'm only speaking for myself, but for me it's like more interesting to be conscious of what the visual realm of things is at the moment and try to respond to it, whether it's criticizing it or taking the wave with it. And I don't know, I think AI is an amazing tool. It's great. It's also making us all lazier at our jobs, including myself. Like I think I have to like fight harder now to not be enamored by the mediocrity of AI work. So I feel like, it's like, how do you use this amazing tool in a way to like push yourself even more than you would without it, and not just kind of letting it dictate how you work or what you get from it.
Hello.
Hey.
My name is Fedor. I have a quick question in relationship to how you think, in regards to AI and creativity, because right now some still feel that the hope is that AI is still very good and will be very good at actually technical aspects, right? What you've just mentioned about making a fantastic video of something, or someone eating pasta, Will Smith eating pasta. But in regards to coming with the idea and not the execution part, right? And figuring out and coming to a certain point of what you want to visualize. Have you found AI actually doing something as good as you would without AI, like in your kind of messing around with it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I found AI refreshing sometimes. Like it has like a naiveness to it sometimes when you ask it something and it gives you something that was not what you expected at all. And you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted, but interesting. And you can kind of like, I don't know, there's something about like that, getting that weird angle perspective from it and being able to, I don't know, take from it what you want ultimately. Like you're still driving the car, right? Like that's the premise here. It's like, how can you still drive the car and have AI there with you, helping you, but ultimately you're taking or choosing the direction. So yeah, I think AI sometimes does help me see things differently than I would. I think when you're like in the day-to-day, sometimes you just like default to the way that you're used to doing things, and all of a sudden getting something else, this technology, to force you to try a different angle on something, I think is refreshing.
Okay. Can we give one more round of applause and have the 30-second pitchers come find me here? All right, our 30-second pitch friends, as you come up towards the stage, I will remind everyone of the rules, 30 seconds only, because that way the next person has 30 seconds, and then it just all works. We're a community. So if our first one can come up, I'm going to be timing you, and when your time is up, I'll play the little xylophone, and no matter where you are, that's where you got to stop. All of your contact information is going to be shared in the post-event email, so don't use your 30 seconds for that. Are we ready? Okay, come on up. Woo! And just say your name. Of course.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Hope. I'm a premarital counselor and a wedding officiant. I have a new venture called Ever After Academy, where I host panel discussions for wedding couples from both the relationship side and the wedding side. So I'm currently looking for expert panelists. So if you are or know of a matrimonial attorney, a financial advisor, a sex therapist, a home organizer, a wedding photographer, venue, planner, or caterer, I'd love to meet you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sandler. I help run an organization called Women's Media Group. Who here is afraid of AI taking their job? Yes, we all are. So on January 22nd, I am helping to put on an event with Jane Cleland, who wrote a book called Resist the Bots, about how you can use your creativity and let it shine and be irreplaceable by AI. January 22nd from 12 to 1, virtual $15. Also, we're putting on a comedy night on January 27th, and we're looking for an MC sponsors January 27th. Thank you, Gotham Comedy Club.
I think I have ADHD. How many of us can relate to that statement? So my studio is trying to put together a community and event series called Focus Group, where it starts off with a keynote on mental focus, bring experts in to think about how do we hold that spiritually, intellectually, and tactically. And then it's followed by a sprint with a community and ambient DJ in the background, so think Minecraft music and other great loading screen music. So I'm looking for experts who can be speakers for that, and also people who like to get productive together.
All right, we're gonna go fast. Hi, everyone. Who here has ever marveled at a new leaf on a plant? Raise your hand, really fast. Who here thinks that's weird? Not all of you are honest. I can change your mind if you think that's weird. So the theme of this month is growth. I am Heather. I am the founder of HortiHop. That's like horticulture and bellhop combined. We're an indoor plant design and maintenance company for residential, corporate, and retail clients. But I'm not here to pitch the business. I'm here because I need a photographer. We're redesigning our website. We're making a lookbook. If you are a photographer, let me know. We also started a Creative Mornings Club, so check that out. Heather at HortiHop, HORTIHOP.com. Thank you.
You will have everyone's information in your follow-up email. And way to go to hype my clubs. Thank you. Has anyone been secretly thinking of maybe starting a club in here? Oh, I saw a hand. You can come up to me. I can make you feel brave and push you over the edge. I want to say, as always, my biggest thank yous to our incredible events team. Without them, these events would not work as smooth. Abby, Alicia, Angelica, Brian, Brianna, Danielle, Exa, Finn, Katie, Kevin, Kristen, Krista, Lena, Leah, Lenny, Megan, Oriana, Cece, Sky, Sue, and Whitney. I think starting next month, I'm going to prompt you to keep clapping all the way. Because Whitney deserves an applause too, right? And thanks to these wonderful humans, you can see photos of yourself after the event. Thank you, Nelson. And thank you, Connie, for filming our talks. Yeah, you're doing it. You're such fast learners. I love you. And then thanks to Matthew, there's a live stream. He's a legend. He's wonderful. And by the way, Matthew is game to taking on an apprentice. If you have it in you to be reliable, show up every month, get an extra first batch at the croissants because you're here early. Matthew wants to take on someone who wants to learn how to do the live stream, so come up to us. And then next month, we're going to close out the year again with the wonderful Debbie Millman, who's going to do a Design Matters Live and interview Ruth Ann Harnish. I am so excited for this. And as always, I'm going to leave you with a quote. Whatever seed you are, bloom, by Atticus. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Graduate Center, and see you next month.